We're the rebels of the digital age, rocking hard like the heroes on a rampage. There is an educational revolution in the air. We're here to show you we've got flair. Gotta raise the stakes, artificial and human minds. No time for mistakes. We're the pixel warriors, fighting side by side, diving deep into the code. Let the sparks collide. Level up your AI mind. Let it flow through waves. There's mercy in the future. Unleash the technology rays of every art of the master. We're one step closer to the sky. Level up your reality. It's the week of AI.
Well, hello and welcome back to Stream 2. I'm Erica Sandstrom, better known as Green Screen Gal, having trouble with my lighting as the green screen guru. But you know, that's the key. You got to have good lighting. I am so excited for this one. You're going to hear a great story today from Mr. McMurray. I hope I said that right. And from San Diego. But before we bring him up, I just want to say thank you to Swivel for being our sponsor, our main sponsor for the conference. It makes this beautiful, epic journey possible. Also, thanks to Brisk for these fabulous shirts that we all have. And you should definitely get one if you're going to ISTE, because there's lots of cool things that can happen if you have one of them on. Also, for our sponsor for the day, School AI. If you've not dove into that yet, do it. Absolutely. It's so wonderful. And last but not least, I'm going to put a link in the box for our map for the conference. It's an international map in Padlet that you can add yourself into it. Tell us about yourself, put a picture, put a video, whatever you want, and connect with people across the world through our Padlet, bit.ly/Week of AI map, all lowercase, but I will put it in the chat. But let's bring up the star of the show, which is Mr. Mick McMurray. Woo! We're on opposite coasts. I'm in Boston, but let me tell them a little more about you. This session is called AI in Action. I love that title. Mick McMurray brings over 2 decades of dedicated experience as a high school teacher in San Diego area. Gosh, I want to live there. I live in Boston. With a career that spans teaching marketing and entrepreneurship, social science, English, and art. Passionate about incorporating AI into education, he's all about making learning engaging and relevant in our digital age. Mick believes in the power of technology to transform education and is always on the lookout for innovative ways to prepare his students for the future. Wow, you're a cool dude. And if you have any questions for him, he definitely would love some chat with you throughout his session. So welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to put the link to the slides here in the chat. So that's there for you. And you can, if you want to click on any of the links and check out the tools in more detail, feel free. I'm going to start by taking
let you know that was the private chat. So
that was the private. Oh,
I'm moving it over for you. I got it for you.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to start by taking us back to December 2022. And it was when I first started hearing a little bit on social media about this new thing, ChatGPT. And, I was seeing people that are marketers or people in business that were pretty excited about the possibilities. And then I was hearing from educators, it was the end of the world. Everyone was going to be cheating. Teachers were going to be replaced. And, why bother teaching essays or, English at all anymore? And this was the, end of the semester. I'm doing grades, getting ready for finals. I just kind of had to put it on the back burner, and then got through the holidays and I had a little time between Christmas and New Year's. And about this point, ChatGPT's been out in the public for about a month at this point. And I sat down and said, okay, let's check out this new tool. And like most people, it was like, it was a cool toy at first. Like, wow, look, it's songs and poems, and it'll tell me jokes. And then I thought, okay, well, let's sit down and try to do my work for the year. The work I'm going to have my students do this coming semester, and throw it at it and see how it does. And I think it's important to know a little bit about the classes I teach to understand this next part. So I teach in a business academy, and I have 70 juniors in digital marketing classes. So there's 2 sections of that. And then they come back to me senior year, and we put them in one big class of 70 students with me and another teacher. And we have them for 2 hours a day doing virtual enterprise. And so they have to come up with an idea for a business. They have to generate, business plan and marketing and, an HR manual, but they also do video commercials and radio commercials and elevator pitches and websites. And they compete with these around the state, and also, national and international competitions through virtual enterprise. So it was really a chance to try a lot of different things. And so I started with, the beginning. Okay, well, let's come up with a business idea. And quickly I had an idea, and I was generating all the things that we create. And about 15 minutes in, I called up my co-teacher and said, "What are you doing? You got to jump on Zoom. You got to check this thing out." And 45 minutes later, we'd done the entire semester's worth of work, and had oh my gosh, what do we do now moment. What do we, do we try to hide this, or do we, bring this into the classroom, and what does this mean? So, we said we have to bring this to the students. We have to see what this is going to mean for the future in our classrooms. And that was kind of the starting point. We had a week to figure out kind of what comes next. And so, this, let me get over to, this was, I asked Firefly to generate an image of me sitting at my desk here when I first encountered ChatGPT, and this is what it came up. So this was a AI generated image of me. And as we walked into that next week, I had some of the same concerns that I hear from teachers. And I asked some educators back in March, what were some of their concerns? And I created this word cloud a couple months ago. And you can say cheating and plagiarism are still top of people's minds, the lack of critical thinking. And, there's about 50 different ways of saying that up here. And I had those same concerns. There's also that big one, that larger, what does this mean for the future of teaching? So I kind of want to start by addressing these concerns. And I'm going to get into, how I use this, for the last 18 months, what have I learned using this day in and day out in the classroom? So, the first concern, that big one is it's going to replace teachers. I think that's the ultimate biggest concern among many educators. And, fed by things like this is a former school board member in San Diego saying artificial intelligence can help our kids and replace teachers. And he was arguing that this was a good thing. We should replace the teachers. 22 years in the classroom, and I can tell you this, the class doesn't function without us in the room. AI can change a lot about what we do, but left to their own devices, my students would be on TikTok all day long. Culture and community and all the things that we do as educators don't happen without the adult in the room. And so this I'm not really concerned about. Cheating is a bigger concern. I hear this from English teachers more than anyone, but this idea that students are going to cheat on everything they do, and certainly they have been cheating for a long time, and in lots of different ways. But this kind of takes it to a whole nother level. Beginning of the school year, I was hearing a lot about AI detectors. They don't work well. They're not reliable, and my biggest concern is the false positives. It's not even the students that get away with it; it's the students that are accused that didn't actually cheat, because they err on that side a percentage that's way too high to trust them. So I do want to share real quick, one of the things that I do for anybody that is concerned about that is Google version history is your best friend. Have your students write in Google, and there's actually an extension you can install on Chrome. It's called Draftback, and I want to show you a little bit of what this does. I got this video open in another window. Sound doesn't work from this, so I'm going to go ahead and just narrate this a little bit. What you're going to see here is with this extension, you can hit Draftback up here at the top, and it's going to play the revisions back in a little video here. So you can see when big blocks of text get dropped in. You can also see that the students doing their writing themselves, how long they worked on this. And it does more than just let you know, where the student's cheating. It lets you know, how the process is going for the student as far as writing. And so I think it does more than just help identify cheating. It's, you know, just a useful tool. So that is my first tool for you. It's draft back, and it's definitely worth checking out if you are concerned about cheating. I do want to share one more video with you. I love this one. This is a student here whose teacher told them all work was going to have to be handwritten, and this was going to be their way of solving students copying from ChatGPT. And here we have a pen. Looks like it's duct taped to a 3D printer here. And it is writing the output from ChatGPT.
I just have to tell you, that's hysterical. I love that.
I'm not worried about this kid, Erica. This
I
kid's
know.
gonna be just fine.
I was sitting back in your lap. I just wanted to give you that feedback because that's great.
It is, yeah, and I don't think we win this game of cat and mouse. So, you know, it's for me, you know, tools like Draftback are really where it's going to be at. It's not going to be a problem we completely solve ever, but you know, my big takeaway there is if you focus on the process, and I'll come back to this later, the process and not just the end product. It's the process is where that learning's taking place. Keep your focus there, and you know, also grade that process, interact, and give feedback during the process, and not just on the final product. And a lot of these concerns go away. My biggest concern is that third one, that students are going to lack critical thinking. They're going to be, you know, dumb. They're not going to engage with the work, and they're going to, you know, use the shortcut so much that they're going to lack practice on all these critical skills. And you know, that's where I started at coming in January. I think it was January 6th. We came back to school 2023. And I came back in and I said, what are we going to do for our very first AI activity? And so day one, I showed them ChatGPT. I logged in and actually did some of the assignments from the previous semester. And they said, you know, this is amazing. We never have to work again. And then I gave them an article to read. And New York City had, at this point, by January 3rd, had blocked ChatGPT on school devices and networks. It was just about 5 weeks old at that point, and this was happening all over the country. And
Yep.
I started talking to them about should it be banned. Well, they went home and tried it out that night, and then they came back, and I asked them to write paragraphs about it. And here was one of the first responses from a student. This is one of my EL students, fantastic student, great thinker. As you'll see here, I believe ChatGPT can serve some good and some bad, although students will abuse the website instead of using it in a way to help their thinking and not allow the website to do everything for them.
Mhm.
I believe some students won't abuse the website, but it's 50-50 chance. I like this part. He says, I like the idea of exploring a new technology, but in a school full of students who rely on the internet to help them think, it's going to be a difficult situation. So
Wow.
we started there, and I wanted to do something with ChatGPT to see if I can tackle the hardest thing, which seemed to be at the moment everybody's biggest concern, writing. And I'd seen this on Twitter. It was from Rob Lennon, and he wasn't putting this out there for teachers. This was more for marketers and people in business. But this idea that ChatGPT mega prompts, and you can tell it to do these things. He said, simulate a persona, give it a task, steps to complete the task, context, constraints, goals, and output, formatting. And so I said, well, here, write a paragraph that argues if ChatGPT should be banned in schools, and then told it it's a writing tutor to only give advice. For the rest of this chat, if I change topics, steer the conversation back. So try to create a writing tutor. And I came back in the next day and asked the students to cut and paste this from the class website into ChatGPT and give it a shot. And that same student at the end of the period had this paragraph. And I mean, it's a fantastic paragraph where he goes into, you know, his thoughts about it. He's talking about the article, and you know, I wanted to see, you know, how did you get there from where you started? And here I asked him to cut and paste his chat into Google Docs, and was able to go back and look at everything he was doing. Anybody who went to the School AI session earlier, you can see the problem that they've solved over the last year and a half. which was, if you're just using ChatGPT, there's that concern of where they start, and the AI is primed to do something for them, and then also you get that report back. But here I was doing that right from the start, just using cut and paste and having them put back stuff to a Google Doc. That brings me to my kind of takeaway number one, which is always invite AI to the table. I'm stealing this right from Ethan Mollick too, from his book Co-Intelligence. So this was my starting point though, which was I'm going to try to do anything I can with AI, and see how much I can learn about it and how I can bring it into the classroom to improve what we're doing. So this was my starting point, and I want to go to how I use it now though. So if I was always inviting it to the table, what did I invite it to help me with? So here's some things that I do use it for: emails, letters of recommendation, data analysis, and lesson planning. And so I want to show you for emails what I do. And let me start a new message here. So in my email, it's not very user friendly to have to go to ChatGPT every time I want to write an email. I wasn't going to do that. But Grammarly has AI built into it. And over here, I can say, I want to write an email to Mark's mom. Mark was on his phone. He has been warned. He must stop.
I'm going to steal that one.
And there it is. Hope this message finds you well. I wanted you to bring to your attention behavioral issue. And writes a really nice email. I can make it friendly. I can make it persuasive. I can shorten it down and create a few different versions over here. When I get one I like, I just insert that there, put his mom's name there. I already got my signature at the bottom, and I'm good to go. In there too.
Somebody said in here too, it'd be good for ELL, second language students to, great equalizer for them.
Oh, it's an amazing equalizer for the students.
Yeah.
I have students, if they're emailing, I have students taking college classes concurrently enrolled while they're in high school, and writing emails to professors and stuff. It really helps them, get their ideas out. I can take one sentence here too, and I can just click it and improve that sentence too. So if I'm writing an email myself and not asking the AI to do the whole thing. And the thing I love about Grammarly, this is Grammarly Desktop, is it's in every app that I use. And so I did try out Google's Gemini, which brings in the AI into your Google tools. Much like this, you can have Google's AI built into all the Google tools, and Microsoft has its Copilot, which will put the AI, it's actually ChatGPT, into your Microsoft tools. Grammarly here puts it in every tool that I'm using on my computer. And it is ChatGPT. This is using the ChatGPT OpenAI's API, and it's it has prompts built into it here for these various things, and then it sends them that and whatever text I have highlighted, and brings that response back to me. It's just a much better interface than having to switch over to my ChatGPT window and do this.
Yeah, Kiana said that too. That's awesome. My students have been using ChatGPT for email supports for clarity. Never thought about using Grammarly. I hadn't either. This is brilliant.
Letters of recommendation. Oh, thank you guys. Is another way that I use this, and just a quick example here. Here I'm writing a letter of recommendation, and this gets at one of my big tips for prompting is you have to be specific. And so here, instead of doing it for a student, I wrote it for my co-teacher. I'm writing a letter of recommendation for a colleague. I'm a teacher. His name is James McFarland. I say how long I've known him, some things that I know he does, but just very briefly, sentence fragments. And then it goes down here and writes a really nice letter. And I write a lot of letters of recommendations for students. And I mean, the letters are as good as anything that I've written. I've seen people say you're actually doing your students a disservice if you're not going to use AI to write their letters of recommendation, because they're actually likely better than what you were writing before.
Exactly.
The more details I give it, the better letter I get. So be specific. And then if there's anything you don't like, iterate. You have to then be that person that interacts with the AI, and don't take the first draft that it gives you, but tell it things you'd like to change, tone, style, or anything about that, and create a few different versions as you go.
Somebody asked if that was a paid version of Grammarly that you were using in your email.
I am. That is a paid version, so that is $20 a month. So I pay for 2 AI tools. I pay for ChatGPT Plus, and I pay for Grammarly. And for me, it's worth it to not have to switch back and forth to the ChatGPT interface to do those emails, to just have it right there. I write a lot of email, so that's the main place I use it.
That's right. Buy the one that you do a lot of. Absolutely.
So letters of recommendation, data analysis. This is something that I know not everybody has a use for, but I do want to show this real quick. And I'm going to actually switch over to my personal account here, because that's the one I have the pro version on. Data analysis isn't currently available in the free version of ChatGPT, but I think it will be any day now. If you didn't see the announcement on Monday, they're coming out with GPT-4 Omni, or GPT-4o is what they're calling it. But it's a lowercase o. So they are going to make that free for everybody to use. I'm not sure what the Plus account is going to get you now. Maybe the images or something like that is going to stay in the Plus account. We go over to, here we go. Here's my data analysis. And in my teaching this business pathway, they're often, how are your students doing as compared to other students? And so what I did here is I exported every grade our 11th graders had earned in the previous 3 years. So this was like 60,000 rows of transcript data into one file, and sent this to ChatGPT and said, I want to analyze this group of students. And then I asked it how many students are in the business academy in the 11th grade. And so it did its best to kind of figure out, what course are they all taking? How am I going to identify them? And then it found them. It said there's 68 of them. And then I said, great, let's compare their GPAs to other students. And then it started doing that. And then it said, okay, their GPAs are better. But then I said, yeah, maybe they were just better students. We recruited, a higher caliber of students. Let's compare change over time. And then it went back and compared their 9th grade GPAs to their GPAs in 11th grade. And then asked it to chart those. The amount of time this would have taken me to do if I was sitting there with Excel, and I was able to do it just in a few minutes here. It really just blew me away. And one of the times I did this too, at the end, I got to, ask it. I said, well, is this can I say this is a causal relationship? Does joining the business academy cause this change? And it analyzed the data, and it came back with some really good conclusions. And it was like, well, no correlations, not causation. It started pointing out lurking variables and spurious, correlations, and said maybe you're just an easier grader, and it came up with these really good ideas. And so I was amazed at not just the analysis that it did as far as the raw numbers, but actually making sense of those numbers. So anybody that's doing data analysis, it's worth checking it out. And I linked that example there. You don't get the graphs when I share it, but you can see the way the chat progressed if you want to take a look at that. And here is my favorite thing to do with ChatGPT. It's actually my unit planning. I'm writing the best lessons I've ever written. And I know there's, at this point, I want to say 1,000 lesson planners. Everybody has one built into it. Magic School, School AI, plus, I've seen so many standalone tools that write lesson plans. Here's what I do know is that most of them, actually, I believe all of them, are sending the topic that you choose for your lesson back to one of the foundational models. And almost always they're sending it actually to ChatGPT in their API with some sort of prompt and getting that data back and showing it to you. And I don't like that, because it often is removing me from that conversation. There's some sort of prompt happening that I can't see, and often not a chance to really iterate and engage with the AI as an assistant, as a partner in that process. So let me show you what it looks like the way I do it. And so I start with, here I said I'm designing a unit plan for Shark Tank for a high school marketing class. And I just told it I'm using understanding by design framework. How should I start? And so it said, well, you're going to want to identify desired results, determine your evidence, plan your learning experiences, and then implement and reflect. And then we did some essential understandings. It helped me brainstorm. I chose the ones that I liked. We did some big ideas. We came up with objectives. Then we went through performance tasks. These were going to be the big things at the end: business pitch, marketing campaigns, some reflections. And then I said, now let's create that list of lessons. And it came up with a really good list of lessons. And at this point, I stopped this chat. And the reason I do that is because if I continued that chat, and I was doing that at first, I just, wow, that's great. Let's go to lesson 1. And I do lesson 1. And then I'd say, let's go to lesson 2. And I'd get to lesson 5. And then I'd say, okay, well, I want to go back to lesson 1 and actually change something there. And it didn't quite remember what lesson 1 was. It was got some confusion because of all that chat that was between lesson 1 and where I was at. And what I found is better is once you get that list of your lessons, then move each lesson to its own chat. And so, if I had my sidebar here on the side, it'd say unit and then lesson 1, lesson 2, 3, 4, 5 on up. And then each lesson exists in its own chat. So that way, if I need to go back to that lesson and iterate in some way, I can. And, for example, this one here, I said, well, let's create a reading to introduce these concepts. And so then it created that reading. Now I could take that reading at this point and say, let's create one at a different reading level, or create one. I think down here I said modify the assessment using universal design for learning. And it allows me to iterate over each lesson. So that is how I like to use that. I want to move forward here a little bit. Brings me to guideline number 2, which is be the human in the loop. That is, again, taken from Ethan Mollick here. When I'm interacting, I'm looking for tools that aren't single input, single output. Usually, I want to be in a spot where I'm able to interact, and that's why I often go back to ChatGPT, just the website, and do more work there than I do with other AI tools, because it allows me to be the human and use it more as an assistant than looking for that, create me a rubric, create me a quiz, and just getting that one output. Let's get to the fun stuff. Using AI with students. So in that virtual enterprise class, I had one group that was a little behind the gun, and it was time to turn in their Plant Pal AI video here. They had to create video commercials, and they didn't have time to go out and shoot for a variety of reasons. They'd run out of time to film, and I said, let's see what we can do, creating it all with AI. And hopefully you'll be able to hear some of this through the speaker and the mic here. Let me see what I can do.
No, if you want to stop and reshare as just a tab, just to play the video, you could do that too.
Okay, I wasn't sure how that was going to stand. So let me stop the screen.
Yep.
And present.
I'm a pro just because it happened to me through half of my thing last night.
Share screen. Now I got to find the tab. I got a lot of them open.
Chrome tab. I gotta find the Chrome. Did you have Chrome tab?
There we go. I got it. Okay. Also share audio. Let's see if this works. I think I should have audio now.
Okay, let's try it.
As our lives get busier, we often forget the little things. The ones that bring life into our homes. Days go by. Would they survive your absence? Introducing Plant Pal, your trusted companion for plant care, ensuring your plants get the love they deserve, even when you're away. Come home to happiness. Come home to flourishing greens. Plant Pal, for those who love their plants, but have places to be. Embrace the future of plant care. Plant Pal, your plant's best friend.
So yeah, that was our very first go at I'm gonna actually let me get back to my full screen share here.
Dustin, you're so funny. He says, my ADD brain, has anyone seen King Charles' first painted portrait? Does it not look like the Vigo from Ghostbusters 2? That's so true. My ADD brain was thinking something similar. All right, let's get your screen back up. There we go.
There we go. And so, yeah, when they did that, you know, some people look at it and go, wow, that's, you know, they didn't have to do anything. Well, here's what they had to do. They used Chat GPT to storyboard and script. And, yeah, as you could tell from that, their business idea was an automatic plant watering system that they were working on. They used 11 labs to do the voiceover, Firefly to create images, a website called Kyber for adding motion to those images, and then Premiere to assemble and edit. So the only part of the entire process that was different was the actually going out with the camera and filming. They still had to do every other step. And it gets me back to, I mentioned this before, that idea of focusing on the process and not just the end product. So yeah, the end product, it's, wasn't, the best video that I'd ever had. And actually some of the AI videos got a little better as we went on. They tried, some other groups tried it, but that was our first go. And, the process was interesting. We're going to get to a spot. If you haven't seen Sora yet, OpenAI has their video creator, not released to the public yet because there are some pretty scary implications of what people can do with this. But this is the future of AI video. This is Bling Zoo. This was created with one prompt. Nope, replay.
You might have to do Chrome tab again. If you do Chrome tab, then you can.
There's no sound on these.
Oh, okay.
This is just because it was just their video output. So yeah.
So sorry.
It's okay.
Someone asked, how long did it take them to complete the video? It's a great question, Kiana.
Beginning to end, probably about 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Between all the steps, coming up with the ideas, creating the script and the storyboard. They had a whole plan to go out and film it. They were going to go to the airport and have somebody dressed as a flight attendant. They had this very elaborate idea of going out and shooting, and that part sort of fell apart. Then we thought, well,
a lot shorter than it normally is to create a whole video. And
yeah,
that's nice.
So that's what's coming our way as far as video creation. Images, everything there that you saw was created by Firefly. If you haven't used it yet, it is, if you want to do image generation with video in school, Firefly is the way to go. Okay. Everybody gets a certain number of free generations a month. If your school has any sort of paid Adobe account, you might get quite a bit more. And, it's this simple. So if I go in here and I say, let's go, I want to see, we just had the Northern Lights here all over the country. So Northern Lights in downtown San Diego.
I love Firefly. It's powerful.
I don't want square. I'm going to change the dimensions there. There we go. There's our Northern Lights. I'm going to say that I want with Shamu jumping from the bay. And let's add a style to that over here. I want to go with synthwave. I've used other image generators. Midjourney is widely considered the best, but it's not one that I recommend using in schools. You got to be on a Discord server, which is probably blocked at school as it should be. Lots of trouble that students can find themselves in on Discord. So Firefly is safe. It's actually trained on stock images only too, so it's ethical as well. Now let's jump ahead. Anybody not seen Salcon's TED Talk? I'm going to give you the 30-second version of the 2 Sigma prompt, because this gets to what I think is the most exciting thing that I'm doing in the classroom and that I've tried this past year. And it gets back to those first, like that mega prompt I was showing with the essay writing. And this goes back to Benjamin Bloom. Yeah, that Benjamin Bloom of the Bloom's taxonomy back in 1984. He published the 2 Sigma prompt, the search for methods of group instruction as effective as one-to-one tutoring. And here was the end result. Here's our conventional bell curve of 1 teacher, 30 students. Here is our best teacher, and you can see our students are performing better. More students are performing better um, using the best mastery learning techniques. But once you put a whole bunch of adults in the room, it wasn't quite really one-to-one, but people were getting a lot of one-to-one time. You see, our average student is now performing so much better, and our worst student is performing about where the average student was before. And why is this a problem? Well, we've never been able to replicate it because how do you put that many adults in the room? Schools just aren't set up, and we can't afford to do that. This is the big hope with AI. And it takes us back to these mega prompts. Can we train the AI to be that force multiplier, to provide that one-on-one instruction to students? And this is what a lot of people are working on. So one of the things that I did is because I'm impatient and I'm also kind of strange, I created my own AI platform over spring break. And with this, if you've used School AI, it's kind of the same thing without a lot of their fancy bells and whistles. I was able to create prompts in here that I could then send to students. They didn't have to log in. They could just take these prompts. And if you have the slides open, here's what happens when you open it. And the students could get these windows and they would chat. And instead of, like I showed before, that student had to cut and paste their entire chat into a Google Doc, I would just get reports back of everybody's chats this way. And so this here was to help them with marketing. And I was doing this actually instead of a reading. So instead of tutoring them, I was actually doing customized readings. And so they would pick a company to analyze. And so if they wanted to do, Red Bull, they're now going to be reading about a company that they know and analyzing their marketing strategy. And so this is one of the things I do is as having, interactive readings. And it'll get there. There we go. And so it breaks down all the ways that Red Bull does that. And then this gets back to the adults, that teacher in the room. I had the students do these in groups. They then had discussion, activities that they had to do, and then present this back to the class. And so they got to see the marketing strategies of a whole bunch of different companies in a way that wasn't just reading it out of the textbook. So using AI to create custom readings using chats. And anybody's welcome to try my tool. Also, this would be great to do in School AI. Another thing that I do is role playing. So here's one learning about promotion and the 4 P's of marketing. So I told them they're a marketing expert interacting with a CEO, and then it was going to role play with them. And again, style guide, reading difficulty, and this really democratizes ed tech. Anybody can get in and build chatbots to do all sorts of activities in class that are going to do things for your students that wouldn't have been possible before this tool was there. I do want to show the most kind of intense one of these I've ever seen. And this is from, does that link work? There we go. More Useful Things. And if we look at their prompt library here, this is a negotiation bot, AI negotiation simulator. This is the prompt. Multiple steps. It's very long and very well thought out. But what this does once you get in it, it's absolutely fantastic. And I'm running out of time here, but if you'd like to try it, if you get those slides out of the chat, there's a negotiation role playing right there that you could give it a try and see how people are creating these. And that brings me to actually our sponsor for the day. I swear this wasn't planned. I had this all planned out before I even knew they were the sponsor. I mentioned that I'd created my own AI tool over spring break because I was frustrated with the interface of having students go to ChatGPT, cut and paste stuff off my website, maybe mess up that process and not get the full prompt. I had no way of knowing what they were doing, and they had to cut and paste it back to me. School AI, if you haven't seen it, solved that problem with their interface. It was the same interface interface that I was building in my own tool, and I've stopped building my tool because somebody else came along and did it better. I actually loved their tool, and the day I saw it was the day I stopped working on my own. So if you haven't, I timed out here. There we go. It got me in. In here, let me just show you one of these real quick. Here is one I created where students have to, it's going to help them come up with ideas for their business. And here is the best part. As they're working, you get a report of everything they're doing over here on the side, but then you get the summary at the end. And it gave me some feedback. I needed more engaging ideation and brainstorming techniques, but it also told me what they were interested in. It called out students by name and told me I want to work with them, encouraging these students to further develop their ideas through research and prototyping. And it just gave me all this great feedback and ideas to take back to those students and work with them on. So it really just kind of took it to that next level. And I can click on here and I can read the chats that those individual students are having. I'm almost certain, I get the folks at School AI, if any of them are listening, they can tell me if I'm wrong. I'm almost certain they're using ChatGPT. If not, it's one of the foundational models. They haven't developed their own AI, but they're using that in an interface that's worth not going to ChatGPT. They've improved the interface here and have done things with it that aren't possible just using the ChatGPT website. So I really love this.
Oh, they're going to be so happy to watch. I can't wait to send this to them and show them to watch because it's so true. There's so much in that platform that's just blowing a lot of people away. Nick, so Dustin says, Mick, I might have to try to hit you up about unique bot creation. I'm wondering if I could do it with my own debate students. So you two need to connect.
100%. Yeah, I can send you some links. Feel free to reach out.
Yeah, awesome. Oh my gosh, this was wonderful. And it's funny that it is on the day of School AI. That's so funny.
Yeah, I really didn't have that planned.
That's all right. A lot of people are talking about School AI, but what you just said is like they solved a problem that no one has. That's huge. And that sounds like a good tagline.
Well, yeah,
reach out to them.
Honest to God, I mean, I'd actually built my own platform. It was interesting. I built it over spring break, and I think it took all of 2 days before a VC firm up in the Bay Area, reached out to me and said, we're interested in it. And it looked real cool. And it solved a problem that I had in the classroom. I just knew I wasn't the only one that was having that problem. And,
right.
They found people that wasn't a teacher over spring break in his garage writing code. And that was the folks at School AI. And what they've done is truly fantastic. So,
well, what you're doing is motivating us all to solve problems with this. This is, I can't even imagine what week of AA is going to be. I think we're going to have one in the fall too, because it's going so fast. I mean,
and if you do go check out School AI, you can go in there and you can write just a sentence or two and it will do some really cool stuff, but you can go in and you can really craft those larger mega prompts and tell it more of what you want it to do step by step and how you want it to behave. And do some pretty, fantastic, really personal things for yourself.
Fantastic. I didn't know if you had any more slides, but
that's the last one. Actually, I ended with School AI.
This is gonna be a well-watched one, that's for sure. Thank you so much, Mick.
Thank you, Erica.
You've motivated me in so many ways. I cannot wait I'm gonna buy Grammarly. Amazing. I wanted to just copy that email. Cell phones. All right, everybody. I'm gonna head to my next one. So they don't leave me.
Okay. Thank you everyone for being here.
Yes, and have a wonderful evening unless you're sticking out with us, and bye for now.
Hello and welcome to the Premium AI Strategy Accelerator, the ultimate program for schools, colleges and universities and businesses that want to lead in the AI revolution. Before you apply, let me tell you how this program works. Who is this program for? We focus on helping a hand-picked team of 6 to 10 change makers in your organization. And this elite innovation squad will become your internal startup, pioneering AI-driven solutions that define your organization's future.